I'm dying. Help me.
Imagine you are a god of destruction, king of darkness, minding your own business, and then Ophanimon says, I actually need to calm down. I have to calm down. Listen, I'm not going to insult your intelligence by asking you whether you thought this episode was good or not. You have eyes, and you're probably quite clever. Oh, I'm actually lightheaded. I'm lightheaded. Like, I don't need to tell you why it's good. You already know. You just already know. I'll touch on it, but we need to discuss the details. And such details there are many of. Oh, no. This episode, much like last week's, episode 63, brought everything that you needed. Explanation, context, setup, Mega Evolution debuts, fancy attack animations, and setting the stage for the final battle. How does it do this? Bear with me. Don't miss anything. Enjoy the video. Oh my god, where do I even begin? Like, where do you begin? Okay, let's start with the itty bitty bits. Now, I did notice this week, Taichi had less lines than usual. And I think it's to do with the voice actress for Taichi having caught COVID. So obviously wishing him a very speedy recovery. And long COVID can be a pain. Bearing that in mind, moving forward, it wasn't really about Taichi anyways. It was very much, at least, TK centered. And yes, I might have said earlier this week that Devimon would be a feature. That happened, provided us with much information. Devimon was a byproduct of the first cry of the Great Catastrophe, i.e. Soundbirdmon, i.e. Deathmon. But it brought so much to the foreground in the fact that this battle isn't between light and darkness anymore. It's between existence and complete oblivion. So they did a good job of making us feel like Devimon was terrified of this catastrophe, even explaining things like how Devimon was testing the potentials of evolution, and something along the lines of going beyond the laws of nature. But the question being, did Devimon pursue this off of his own back, or was he forced to do so? Nevertheless, there were many other great features in this episode which are quite small. There were some amazing still shots, some Avengers superhero type-esque shots that I think everyone can love, for the obvious reasons. Rude. Because you haven't really had a proper team up like this since just before episode 18 against Aizmon. Oh my god, there's so much to talk about, man. Even Commandomon was featured in this superhero gathering pose, which I thought was great because I've mentioned through the entire reboot in these videos that Commandomon is just as much a part of the squad as each member of the squad. Furthermore, Gabumon fires poo, and it works. I like that a lot. We had really amazing features of all the Digimon friends, again, that they have met along the way, which is not filler, in fact it's very significant. The language they use in particular, the idea of this catastrophe driving the world mad, and in showing you all the connections that they had made, all the Digimon that you felt for, not that you can relate to every single one along the way, but there's going to be at least one or two you kind of think, yeah, please don't hurt him or her. And this episode's showing you that everything is going to be affected. Everything they'd worked on and built so far is about to be compromised. And it really builds up that feeling. But that gets top marks from me, because that's the whole point. Leading me on to my next point, the Crests. We kind of predicted they were going to go with the meaning of the Crests was the journey, the adventure along the way. But to be quite honest, what else was it going to be? I mean, really. Would there have been as much a point in going through all these Digimon friends, making all these connections, having these individual stories, some stories, and in fact, a lot of them, not even in any way related to the plot? What would have been the point of going through all of that, for it not to have any significance towards the meaning and the purposes of the Crests? I've done several videos on this, mentioning the whole point of the reboot is how the Chosen affect the Digimon in the digital world, and that will be rewarded, i.e. with the Light of Hope, power, unlocking the Crests' power, mega evolutions, alternative evolutions, whatever it may be. It's about this give and take, mutual exchange between the world and the Chosen. And I find all this episode does is just give us affirmation of what we already thought. Because really, if you could unlock the Crest's power without doing the things that they'd done so far, it wouldn't really have as much emotional weight and consequence of saving the digital world if you hadn't met anything within it or made friendships or connections. So for me, this is how the Crests had to be done. Speaking of which, there were some very cool stills of this, some very strange imagery of the Crests flying out into the void of space. Why did that happen? I have no idea. There were great things like callbacks from episodes such as episode 5, with this feature of Deathmon. Speaking of Deathmon, that boy is round. I wasn't expecting the Soundbirdmon to, when accumulated, become Deathmon, But honestly, I'm kind of okay with that, because it shows that Deathmon had more of a functional role this entire time, and it kind of confirms again that it is more the messenger or the first cry of the catastrophe. So yeah, if Deathmon just came out of nowhere, you would wonder, I think we did actually mention this in the pre-show, where's Deathmon been this whole time? That is explained by it is actually the composite form of all the Soundbirdmon. I don't see a problem with that at all. I'm definitely going to miss some things out of this review, because there's just so many golden nuggets everywhere. But here is something that I kind of found weird about the episode, and in fact, Wiseman points out that it has been a mystery as to why Deathmon would try to destroy the darkness, as it is born from it. So, with Deathmon being representative of darkness, why is Deathmon affiliating with that side, with the catastrophe? The King of Darkness has just abandoned all of its principles. I got this impression that it was a little bit like Devimon. It seems as though it was coerced through sheer power, by force, to submit to this cause, the Great Catastrophe. But nevertheless, we probably won't get any explanation on that because Deathmon got absolutely smoked. Now, before we get on to the Holy Digimon, I want to address my best mate, the final villain of Digimon Adventure 2020, whom I've had on my channel since last year, talking about it, theorizing about it, and well, we have its feature at the end of this episode, and plus it belongs to a strange dimension of which opens up in the world itself, the cause of which I'm not sure whether it be the Crests or it be the entity, the main antagonist. Based on the V-Jump scans of the final villain, specifically named Negamon, you heard me correct. Based on its design and how we view this final villain in his alternate dimension, has, if you are not aware, very Lovecraftian themes. Now, H.P. Lovecraft was an author of a series of very peculiar horror-themed novels, which told of a world possessing outer gods. One in particular being Azathoth, who plays a very central role in this universe in these novels. And well, I think it would be right to assume that this final villain, especially given the pictures we have seen, the things that we have seen, and the narrative we have from Devimon about the world being driven into madness, I think is very akin to Azathoth from the H.P. Lovecraft novels. And I think it would very much explain the nature of some of the villains in this series, such as Devimon, who did what they did because they were driven to madness, and this is the very nature of the Great Catastrophe. Which leads me on to the Holy Digimon, Seraphimon and Ophanimon. Finally! I knew it would be a double mega evolution. I mean, why wouldn't it be? They've been shown to be in tandem for the entirety of the reboot, shown to be a pairing. Some people said they were saving Ophanimon for episode 65, or Seraphimon, and I think that's cap, for the exact reason we had in this episode. And the mega evolutions, wow. I mean, the build-up was fantastic. It was the kind of trinity of War Greymon, Holy Angemon, and Angiomon, setting us into gear for these mega evolution sequences, and oh my god, were they amazing. And to be frank, I'm extremely glad. Why? Because the Holy Digimon have not really had any amazing evolution sequences this whole time. They've had some pretty great action sequences, they've had some pretty great moments, but never any popping mega evolution sequence. But now we've gotten, and we had two back-to-back in the same episode. And all the details like Angiomon's ribbons, Holy Angemon going priest mode, like what? From the V-Tamer manga? And then going from priest mode to Seraphimon, almost unsheathing its entire cloth, seeing this really humanoid Digimon form, and equipping the armor into Seraphimon, oh man. And Ophanimon's like spinning of the, what is it, the Eden Spear? That was just too slick. It was too good. I just know in my comments there's going to be an absolute buzz. There's going to be an uproar of enthusiasm and celebration as to how these Holy Digimon were handled in this episode. Powerful. Deathmon being this god of destruction, king of darkness, the first cry of the catastrophe, blasts the Holy Digimon point blank, and it did absolutely nothing. It did nothing. These two absolute demons thought that blast was nothing but delicious.
Are you serious, my brother?
And then retaliated with 7 Heavens, which looked amazing, this beam struggle, and saving the best for last. Ophanimon's action sequences were sick. Putting the shield up and charging through the beams, and then literally thrusting the Eden Spear straight through Deathmon. Oh man. And you could see the hole through Deathmon, and you could see Ophanimon at the other side. That was crazy. This episode went off, and it had absolutely no right to do so. It feels earned. Like, this kind of power that they have just feels earned to me. Not just a mega evolution, but how strong that mega form is. Ophanimon, Seraphimon. I just hope they don't undercut them too fast when they fight Negativemon. I'm not saying its actual name, because yeah, so Negativemon. When they go to battle Negativemon, I just hope the battle isn't over too swiftly for the Holy Digimon. That's all. But I'm absolutely thrilled. And I'm very happy for the Holy Digimon fans in the comments, because just let me know, just tell me. Feed me your positive energy, please. Like, I actually really want to see this. But guys, those are the main things from today's review. I honestly could go on again for like an hour about these episodes. There will come a time where I'll pick all this apart in much more detail in the distant future. But a lot of the point of these reviews is that the review continues in the comments, so please leave your comments down below. Tell me things that you liked, things that I may not have mentioned, which were pretty good. There were many more things, just I don't want to waste all of your time. But that does conclude today's review. What an episode. Obviously one of the best in the series, without question. But I feel like coming to the end of the reboot, there's not really much point in saying that, because they're probably all going to be that way. Like from episode 63, maybe to 66, it's just going to be the best episodes of the reboot, naturally. That's where the payoff's going to be. Nevertheless, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I've got way more Digimon content coming very soon. Hit the notification bell, because why would you want to miss anything? I really appreciate your time this Sunday, but most importantly, take care.